Hola estudiantes! Today we're talking about regular ER and IR verbs. We already know that there are three kinds of regular verbs, AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. And these are just verbs that end in either AR, ER, or IR. So we know that vocabulary is very important. Remember, grammar is absolutely important, but vocabulary really needs to come first. So your first step is always to work on memorizing the verbs from the chapter with making flashcards, playing on any of the fun websites, tons of games out there, drawing pictures. Find what works for you and do it. Absolutely get those memorized. Now we already know for AR verbs, it all just depends on who your pronoun is. We're going to take off that AR, add our new endings based on who we're talking about. So if I want to talk about different people speaking Spanish, I need to know that my verb is hablar, and then I'm going to take off that AR and replace it with the endings. If I want to say I am speaking Spanish, I'll say hablo español. If I want to say we are speaking, hablamos. So we're already aware of that. Now, ER and IR verbs are going to work the exact same way. If I want to talk about what different people are eating, that would be comer, or what they're drinking, that would be beber. So we want to know those, but then we have a new set of verb endings. And they're pretty simple once you've memorized the ARs. All we're going to do is keep the yo the same. It will still be an O. If I want to say that people are eating, I need to know that verb is comer. We're going to take off that ER. If I am eating, replace that ER with O, como. The rest of the conjugations, we're going to replace that A with an E. So if I want to say you are eating with tú comes. If he or she is eating, it'll be an E. Come. If we are eating instead of amos, we'll say hemos. Comemos is how you say we are eating. If you all are eating with vosotros, instead of ice, it's eis. Coméis. And then if they are eating, instead of on, it's en. Comen. So pretty easy add-on if you know your AR verb endings. Now, IR verb endings, what we want to do here is change all those A's and E's to I's. Unfortunately, that is not what we do, but it's still pretty simple. We're still going to use O for yo. So if I want to say where different people are living, the verb vivir means to live. So if I am living in los Estados Unidos, I'm going to take off that IR, replace it with an O, vivo en los Estados Unidos. If you live, instead of changing those to es, we're going to leave it as es. So the same as your ER ending for this one. So if you live somewhere, vives. If he or she lives somewhere, or usted or it, we're going to keep the E from the ER ending. So vive is how we say any of those people live somewhere. Now nosotros, we are finally going to see a difference, and we are going to change it, not amos, not amos, but imos. So if we live somewhere, it will be vivimos. For vosotros, you all, instead of ice or ace, it will be is, vivís. And then for ellos or ustedes or ellas, we are going to go back and keep that E in to say they live or you all live, viven. So the two pronouns that have three different conjugations are nosotros and vosotros. And then for yo, tú, usted, él, ella, ustedes, ellos, ellas, ER and IR are actually the same. So it's not a huge add-on once you know your AR verb endings, but you absolutely want to work on memorizing those. Now, I do want to remind you, comemos or any of the other conjugations basically translate about 5 different ways. Comemos, if it's a statement, it means we eat, or it could be we do eat or we are eating. If it's a question, comemos. It could be do we eat, are we eating? So it really can translate in a lot of different ways as long as it's the present tense and we are doing the action, then that's going to be a good translation. So let's try a few of these. If we want to say we speak Spanish, to speak, we need to know is hablar. So hablar, to go with we is nosotros. Hopefully we've memorized those nosotros, those AR endings by now. But nosotros with AR, it's going to be amos. So we'll say hablamos. And you know we could say nosotros hablamos, and that would be fine. But hablamos español. All right, they are eating pizza. So remember that are is a helping verb in English, and we're not going to use it in Spanish. So we're just going to conjugate the verb comer there. We know they is ellos, and I can write that down if I want to. But go back to my ER ending to go with ellos or ellas, and it will be en. So comen pizza. And then he lives in Peru. We know he is él. To live is vivir. So it was he and an IR verb. So that will be an E there. So we will change that to vive en Peru. And that is how regular ER and IR verbs work. Hasta luego.